Let me remind y'all that Melania, the First Lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein Visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein Visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
Representative Jasmine Crockett criticizes the GOP's immigration double standards in a fiery House hearing, highlighting how Melania Trump was granted an EB-1 Einstein Visa, which is usually reserved for those with extraordinary abilities. Watch the full exchange and be sure to subscribe to America Disclosed for fearless, act-driven commentary that holds those in power accountable.
The idea that Trump and my Republican colleagues want to restore integrity and security in the visa process is actually a joke. Let me be clear, integrity is not snatching lawful visa holders off the streets and throwing them into unmarked vans. Integrity is not revoking visas based on social media posts that hurt somebody's little feelings because kids decide that they want to go after Trump or this administration. We have a thing called free speech in this country. And since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the First Lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein Visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein Visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here. Nevertheless, what Republicans are doing with this reconciliation process, the travel bans and revoking visas, jeopardizes our national security. It threatens our communities, our higher education, and our economy. Visas like the largely vetted J visas for higher education and M visas for trade, training, attract the next innovators, medical providers, researchers, and educators that we need to build on American success. I'm not gonna mess up your name, so I'm not doing that, but I'm with you, okay? In your experience, do individuals on J or M visas typically improve or impair our economy?
They generally improve the economy, and I can give a brief example. My wife is a very successful woman. She makes a ton of money, which I'm grateful for. And the reason why we're able to do that while having 3 children is because of the au pair visa, somebody who is here on a J. Okay. Who is here and able to supply this for us. But I also want to defend Melania real quick. Not everybody could marry Donald Trump, and I think that's quite an achievement. So I think she deserves credit for that. Nobody up here could have done it.
You sure right, I couldn't do it. But anyway, in fact, J visa holders contribute $43.8 billion to the U.S. economy and support more than 300,000 jobs. And make no mistake, immigrants improve the health of U.S. citizens too. Despite the fact we already have a doctor shortage, Trump's reckless travel ban and visa overhaul are exacerbating this crisis by impairing hundreds of hospitals with foreign-trained doctors set to do their residencies here in the United States, meaning fewer people will get the help they need and more people will die. Now, let me remind you that Republicans are trying to gut Medicaid. Roughly 4.5 million people receive caregiver services through Medicaid, and most of these folks are in red states. And wouldn't you know that in 2023, Kaiser Family Foundation estimated that almost 30% of long-term care providers or home caretakers were immigrants. It's like Republicans want Americans to suffer. Now, Republicans say visas make us less secure, but let's talk about how visas given to victims of crimes like rape, murder, human trafficking, torture, abduction, kidnapping, to help law enforcement with their investigation or prosecutions of these crimes. These folks are risking their own security for broader safety of Americans and our communities. Thank you so much. I will yield.
While Republicans continue to paint immigrants as threats to the country, Representative Jasmine Crockett steps in with undeniable facts, hard evidence, and a touch of well-deserved sarcasm. She begins by completely dismantling the narrative that the hearing is truly about visa integrity. If it were, she points out, the conversation would undoubtedly center around Melania Trump's so-called Einstein Visa. The EB-1 visa that's supposed to be reserved for individuals with extraordinary abilities that, by all standards, Melania Trump doesn't seem to possess. Crockett isn't bashing immigrants here, though. In fact, she defends immigrants, emphasizing how critical they are to the nation's economy and healthcare systems. However, she does raise an essential and fair question. How did Melania Trump, who lacks any Nobel Prizes, Pulitzers, or Olympic medals, qualify for a visa that is meant for individuals who have demonstrated extraordinary achievements? This is a completely valid query, especially when the GOP is busy targeting legal immigrants such as students, healthcare professionals, and caregivers who are already contributing to American society. In stark contrast, Melania Trump's visa was handed out swiftly, and yet Republicans remain silent on the issue. Crockett's point couldn't be clearer. Immigrants are not the threat here. It is the hypocrisy within the system that is the real problem. She challenges the Republican rhetoric with hard-hitting facts, and her sharp, no-nonsense approach makes it impossible to ignore. What Crockett is doing here is far more than just calling out hypocrisy. She's challenging a system that rewards privilege while punishing those who are genuinely trying to contribute to society. Her delivery is a combination of fire and clarity, and it shines a light on the Republican double standards regarding immigration policy. This isn't just about one visa. It's about the larger picture of how policies are shaped by favoritism, fear-mongering, and political agendas that don't benefit the country as a whole. If you're tired of the GOP's constant rewriting of immigration policies around fear and favoritism, this moment from Representative Jasmine Crockett is a must-watch. She's doing the work that many others won't, putting the facts front and center while calling out the powers that be for their blatant contradictions. Crockett makes it clear that immigration isn't the issue. It's the manipulation of the system that needs to be fixed. If you're ready for a change in how immigration policy is discussed and want to hear the truth without the spin, be sure to hit subscribe. We'll continue covering the issues that mainstream media is often too afraid to address.